Have you stopped to think about what you are putting on your breakfast table? Not what you think is healthy, what you are actually eating. Because there is something that shows up in the morning routine of almost every American with diabetes: yogurt. But not all yogurt is the same. Some yogurt makes blood sugar spike as fast as a can of soda. Some yogurt does nothing at all. And some yogurt, when consumed the right way, genuinely helps your body manage blood glucose more consistently throughout the day. The difference is in the composition. And today, I am going to show you exactly which yogurts those are, why they work, and how to include them in your diet in a practical and safe way. I have spent many years in clinical nutrition and dietary management of diabetes, and one of the questions I hear most from my patients is, can I eat yogurt? The answer is not simply yes or no. The answer is, it depends on which yogurt, how much, when, and what you eat with it. And that is exactly what I am going to break down today. In this video, you will learn about the 5 types of yogurt that have scientific evidence supporting their contribution to blood glucose control, and you will learn how each one works in your metabolism. Share this video with someone who has diabetes or pre-diabetes before you continue watching. This video is educational and does not replace individualized medical or nutritional guidance. Let us begin. Before talking about yogurts, you need to understand what happens in your body when you eat carbohydrates with type 2 diabetes. When you ingest sugar or starch, the intestine absorbs glucose and sends it into the bloodstream. The pancreas detects that rise and releases insulin to open cells and allow glucose to enter. In type 2 diabetes, the cells are resistant to insulin. They do not open properly, so glucose stays circulating in the blood at high concentrations, damaging blood vessels, nerves, and organs over time. What diet can do, and what science has proven, is slow the rate at which glucose enters the bloodstream and improve the sensitivity of cells to insulin. This is not a cure, it is management. And consistent management is what protects your heart, your kidneys, your vision, and your feet. The yogurts I will show you today act precisely on those 2 mechanisms: absorption speed and insulin sensitivity, but each one through a different pathway. Yogurt number 5. Plain whole milk yogurt with no added sugar. Yes, the simplest, most affordable, and most widely available yogurt is already on this list, but with one important condition: it must be whole milk, plain, and with no added sugar. Why whole milk? Because the fat in whole milk, specifically conjugated linoleic acid, or CLA, has been shown in studies to help improve insulin sensitivity. Low-fat and fat-free yogurts have significantly less of this fat. Why no added sugar? Because many yogurts sold as natural or plain contain hidden sugar in the ingredients list, up to 12 grams per serving, the equivalent of 3 teaspoons of sugar. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that regular consumption of fermented whole dairy products is associated with a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes in populations with prediabetes. The mechanism: whey proteins, especially beta-lactoglobulin and alpha-lactalbumin, stimulate the release of GLP-1, an intestinal hormone that signals the pancreas to release insulin more efficiently and slows gastric emptying, making glucose absorption more gradual. Frank was 63 years old, a retired contractor from Sacramento, diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 6 years earlier. He had switched from whole milk yogurt to light yogurt to be healthier. When we adjusted back to plain whole milk yogurt, 200 grams at breakfast along with chia seeds, his post-meal blood glucose dropped an average of 25 points over 6 weeks with no change in medication. How to use: 150 to 200 grams at breakfast or as an afternoon snack. Always read the label. Ingredients should be only milk and live cultures. Avoid any version with sugar, honey, industrially added fruit, or artificial flavors. Yogurt number 4 is something most people have never associated with blood sugar management, and it has a mechanism of action that will surprise you. Yogurt number 4. Plain Greek yogurt with no added sugar. Greek yogurt is produced through a straining process that removes much of the liquid whey, concentrating the proteins. A 6-ounce serving of plain Greek yogurt with no added sugar contains an average of 17 grams of protein, nearly double that of conventional yogurt in the same volume. Why does this matter for people with diabetes? Because protein has a glycemic index of 0, and it has one fundamental property: it slows the digestion and absorption of carbohydrates eaten in the same meal. When you eat protein alongside carbohydrate, gastric emptying slows and glucose enters the bloodstream gradually rather than causing a sharp spike. Additionally, protein directly stimulates insulin secretion by the pancreas independently of glucose, what researchers call the insulinotropic effect of whey proteins. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition followed 45 adults with type 2 diabetes for 12 weeks. The group that consumed Greek yogurt as part of breakfast showed significantly lower post-meal blood glucose than the control group, along with an improvement in HbA1c of 0.4 percentage points. How to use 150 to 200 grams in the morning or before lunch. Avoid versions with honey, sugary granola, or industrially processed fruit. The fat-free version is not recommended. Prefer the whole or reduced fat option. We arrive at number 3, the yogurt with the most robust research of all, especially for people with insulin resistance. Yogurt number 3, yogurt with specific probiotic strains, especially Lactobacillus acidophilus and Bifidobacterium. Not every yogurt with probiotics on the package is the same. The word probiotic has become a marketing term, and many products use generic strains with little or no evidence for glucose metabolism. What science has demonstrated most consistently is that specific strains, especially Lactobacillus acidophilus LA5 and Bifidobacterium BB12, have measurable action on insulin resistance and glycemic control. The mechanism is fascinating. The large intestine of people with type 2 diabetes has a different microbiota composition than that of people without the disease. Less bacterial diversity, more inflammatory bacteria. This gut dysbiosis actively contributes to insulin resistance through a molecule called LPS, bacterial lipopolysaccharide, which crosses the intestinal wall and generates low-grade systemic inflammation. Specific probiotic strains help restore intestinal wall integrity, reduce circulating LPS, and decrease inflammation, which improves insulin sensitivity in muscle and liver cells. A meta-analysis published in Nutrition and Metabolism in 2019, analyzing 18 randomized clinical trials with more than 1,000 participants with type 2 diabetes, found that probiotic yogurt consumption reduced fasting blood glucose by an average of 16 milliards DL and HbA1c by 0.54% compared to the control group. How to use? Check the package to see if the product specifies bacterial strains by name, not just generic probiotics. Consume daily, ideally at the same time, to maintain consistent gut colonization. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from right now. Write the name of your city. I always love knowing where everyone is. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell now. Yogurt number 2, natural milk kefir. Kefir is a fermented dairy drink originating in the Caucasus region, produced by fermenting milk with kefir grains, a symbiotic matrix of bacteria and yeasts. The result is a drink with a completely different nutritional and microbiological profile from conventional yogurt. It contains 30 to 50 distinct bacterial strains, has very reduced lactose content due to fermentation, and has a concentration of bioactive proteins and peptides with documented hypoglycemic action. The mechanism of kefir's action on glycemic control is multiple. First, the bioactive peptides generated during fermentation inhibit the intestinal enzyme alpha-glucosidase, the same enzyme that certain diabetes medications such as acarbose inhibit pharmacologically. This slows the breakdown of carbohydrates in the intestine and decelerates glucose absorption. Second, kefir polysaccharides, especially kefirun, have shown in studies to reduce insulin resistance in liver cells. A randomized study published in the Journal of Dairy Science, conducted with 60 patients with type 2 diabetes over 8 weeks, showed that the group consuming 600 ml of kefir per day presented a 17% reduction in fasting blood glucose and 0.5% reduction in HbA1c, along with a significant reduction in C-reactive protein, an inflammatory marker. How to use 150 to 200 mmol in the morning on an empty stomach or before main meals. Start with small amounts, about 2 ounces, and increase gradually, as kefir can cause initial digestive discomfort in people unaccustomed to fermented foods. Avoid versions with added sugar. Yogurt number 1. Natural yogurt enriched with whey protein, also called skyr. Skyr is a fermented dairy product of Icelandic origin with unique characteristics. It is produced with large amounts of concentrated skim milk and has the highest protein content of any commercial yogurt, between 11 and 17 grams per 100 grams, compared to 3 to 5 grams in conventional yogurt. What makes skyr and whey-enriched yogurts especially relevant for glycemic control is the specific mechanism of whey proteins. Whey protein is composed of fractions such as beta-lactoglobulin, alpha-lactalbumin, lactoferrin, and the bioactive peptides generated during its digestion. These fractions have 2 glycemic actions documented by science. First, they stimulate insulin secretion powerfully and rapidly, even at low doses, an effect called whey insulinotropic potency that is superior to any other protein source. Second, they stimulate the release of GLP-1 and GIP, intestinal hormones that amplify the insulin response and delay gastric emptying. A clinical study published in Diabetologia, conducted by Dr. Daniela Jakubowicz and team at Tel Aviv University, followed 48 patients with type 2 diabetes for 12 weeks. The group that consumed a whey protein shake before main meals showed post-meal blood glucose 28% lower and HbA1c 0.89% lower than the control group. Skyr and whey-enriched yogurts work through the same mechanism, with the added benefit of also providing probiotics and being real food rather than supplements. How to use 150 to 200 grams before main meals. The insulinotropic effect is greatest when consumed 20 to 30 minutes before the carbohydrate. Mix with cinnamon, which has a proven insulin sensitizing effect. Avoid flavored versions, industrially processed fruit, or added sugar. Check the label for at least 10 grams of protein per 100 grams. Watch for these signs that your yogurt is sabotaging your blood sugar. Sugar or syrup in the ingredients list. Any flavored version without declared no added sugar labeling. Fruit at the bottom with syrup, granola, honey, or cereal mix included. Terms like dairy dessert or yogurt-style product, which are not technically yogurt. Protein content below 4 grams per 100 grams. Indicator of diluted or adulterated product. Here is the plan to start now. First, read the label of every yogurt you have at home today. If it has sugar in the ingredients, replace it. Second, choose one of the 5 types based on your availability and budget. Plain whole milk yogurt is the most affordable and effective starting point. Third, consume strategically, before carbohydrate-heavy meals for glycemic protection, or at breakfast to reduce the morning post-meal spike. Fourth, add cinnamon, 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon, which enhances the insulin sensitizing effect. Fifth, add fiber. Chia seeds, ground flaxseed, or psyllium mixed into yogurt form a gel in the stomach that further slows glucose absorption. Sixth, avoid eating yogurt with high glycemic index fruits like ripe banana, mango, or pineapple. Prefer berries, which have low glycemic index and are rich in anthocyanins, with documented anti-diabetic action. Seventh, monitor your blood glucose 2 hours after breakfast, with and without yogurt, to verify the real impact on your body. A review study published in Nutrients in 2022, analyzing data from 15 clinical trials involving more than 900 participants with type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, concluded that regular consumption of natural fermented yogurt is associated with an average 0.3% reduction in HbA1c, a 9 mg/dL reduction in fasting blood glucose, and significant improvement in inflammatory markers. Effects that, combined with medication and lifestyle changes, produce real clinical difference in disease management. My friend, type 2 diabetes is not a life sentence. It is a condition that responds, and responds significantly, to the way you eat. The right yogurt, at the right time, in the right way, is not magic. It is science applied to your plate. You watch this video to the end because you want to take care of your health, and that is already the most important first step. Now look in your refrigerator. Read the label on your yogurt, and if you need to, make the switch. In the next video, I will reveal the seeds that reduce blood sugar spikes by up to 40% when added to breakfast. You will not want to miss it. God bless you and give you much health. Until next time.